All right. So I'm speaking here with Gordon, and you're located where in Europe, in the UK,
In London,
in
yeah.
London?
In Wimbledon, in London, yeah.
Oh, geez, one of my favorite places is
Is it
Wimbledon.
really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Wimbledon. I was going there numerous times because I was a former professional tennis player.
Tennis player.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
There you go.
but I have a lot of fond memories of Wimbledon, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful place. I love the
Yeah.
all the greenery around that area. So you live in a beautiful city. Well, I would say a village, not a city, but a village, and that's great. And you were telling me a little bit about your mother.
Yeah.
If you could just go ahead and tell me a little bit about your mother. I believe she's
Yes.
what, 90,
She was 96 last week
well,
or the week
96.
before, on the 3rd of December, yeah.
I see. Okay.
And in the last 2 years, she got shingles, and that slowly has kind of made her incapacitated in many ways to what she was
Mhm.
doing. My mum, up to the age of 94, 95, was running our family business, our company, with me and my sister, and she was very active.
I see.
So the shingles came. It really it started on her body, on her buttocks. It internalized. She didn't know when she could. Her bladder was just. She was constantly on the toilet. She ended up having to go into
Mhm.
hospital for 2 or 3 weeks to get some respite. That was about a year ago. And then it just, in August, two things came in. She also suffers with restless legs for the last, since I was born, and I'm 58. So we
Mhm.
found that when that kind of started. So when the combination of the restless legs kicked in and the shingle pain in her body, she ended up getting into a crisis, and she was on some liquid morphine back in late July,
Mhm.
and she actually tried to commit suicide. She actually poured some bleach down her throat from this act. And this is not a woman who wants to ever leave the planet, but the pain was too much. Got her into hospital. She's recovered remarkably, got her voice back remarkably. They actually said that she would probably die within 48 hours,
Mm.
depending on what she ingested. But this is now back in August. So now we're in a position where she's taking some medication which is to ease the pain in her body, but the side effects of confusion, delirium, all kick in.
Mhm.
All the side effects she'll get. I could read any one of the medications she's on, and she'll get something of the side effect. A lot of delusion comes in, and she's aware of that. And we have moments when she's very clear, and she said, "Look, I need to get off this." And I said, "Well, let's look at all the alternative space and see if we can ease that pain body and start to work with that in a more natural way." And she's
Mhm.
very open, as she always has been in her life, to anything
You,
more
y
natural. So
yeah, so do you have a shower or a bathtub there? I mean, where she bathes?
yeah, we have like a sit-in jacuzzi where she could bathe herself. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so you have one of those walk-in, bathtubs,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
closes. I see.
Behind you. Yeah.
Alright, well, there's a town in, France, it's called, the town is called Montmorillon. And
Hmm.
Montmorillon, has a green clay, very special clay, that, people buy, they ingest it. They also, uh, use the clay as a poultice, where they will mix it with alkaline water and then apply that to areas of the skin. Uh, I suggest that the best way to use cementite montmorillonite clay, it's known as montmorillonite, but it's from the city of Montmorillon,
Hmm.
that you put that into bath water and you soak in it. And this clay has a very high surface charge, so it allows, when you put it in the water and a body goes in there that's acidic, and of course the skin is the largest elimination organ.
Hmm.
It eliminates waste from the largest organ of the body called the interstitial fluids of the interstitium. And these interstitial fluids are the fluids that surround all the cells. So until you correct the environment that surrounds the cells, this problem's going to continue without relief. But acids that build up in that area come from the metabolism of the cell function, what makes up all your organs and organ systems. And those cell functions produce lactic acid. And so the lactic acid in her body is like she ran a marathon. Okay. And after the marathon, she has all this buildup waste, and it's debilitating. Lactic acid is the single, well, probably the most uh, single acid that contributes to many of these symptomologies. Uh, but it doesn't stop. As long as the body's functioning, lactic acid
Hmm.
is going to be produced. And the lactic acid can also cause biological pleomorphism, which is the transformation of cells, because it's highly disturbing. The restless leg syndrome is caused by lactic acid buildup, and the body's not getting rid of it until she gets up and moves. So when she lays down, this is when she experiences uh, the circulation challenge and the removal of this waste, and it causes muscles to contract. It's the same thing that causes what is known here in America, maybe around the world, called a Charlie horse. But all it is a is a cramping of the muscle, and the restlessness is a result of the buildup of acidic waste from cellular function. So the problem here is not the shingles, is not the restless leg syndrome. That's a symptom of buildup of metabolic waste, and it can also be dietary waste from what she's eating or drinking. That's a buildup and the inability of the body to remove that. So there's a symptom, and that symptom is it being expressed, with muscle contractions,
Hmm.
and the burning of the skin, and the pain that comes from these wastes that come out through the pores of the skin. So the solution or to the pollution is to help to draw some of that out. Now, the Montmorillonite clay uh,
Hmm.
is a green clay. I'm not sure you can get it in the UK, but you can ask about it,
Yep.
maybe at a Whole Foods or somewhere like that. Uh, we do have a contact in London that I can give you a referral that you can call, and he can maybe direct you on where to get this specialized clay. Uh, Other than contacting phmiracleproducts.com and ordering it and having it shipped
Hmm.
to London, which is more timely. And this other solution with our contact over in London, uh, who's uh, he actually has potentially, I don't know what he has, but he potentially may have some of the products that you might need to help her with this condition. So improving circulation based on where she's at and her age, getting her into exercise program and a movement program is right now probably more challenging. So the bath uh, situation where you can actually structure that water by putting montmorillonite clay in there, can help pull some of this acid that's causing the pain. So any pain, any inflammation, irritation is a result of a buildup of metabolic dietary, generally metabolic or dietary waste. So the other things that can be done to help her with this, besides the using the clay, is to, and getting her, and she can soak in, it shouldn't be hot water, it should be warm water, so she can stay in there maybe for at least 30 minutes. But the longer she stays in there, the better. There's also a compound of salts, it's magnesium sulfate, that is referred to as Epsom salts. And you can use a combination of this clay with the Epsom salts to help pull the inflammation out. And she should try to do this at least once, if not twice a day. The only other place where she could actually go, she would have to travel to Italy, which is in Sardinia, where they have these thalassal pools. And you can read more about that at phmiracleretreat.com. But that would require traveling, which is very difficult right now to do, particularly going to Sardinia. And the other problem, Forte Village is not currently open. But they do have these thalassal pools, which are high in magnesium. One of the pools, which is just, I mean, the treatment is just incredible, because it's literally taking poisons from the interstitial fluid and pulling that out within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Wow. So it's a very, very good way. And that, and there's one pool that will reduce inflammation, and that's an aloe vera pool. So they have an aloe vera pool. They have a high density sodium pool that you actually, the amount of salt within that pool is about 30%. So you can't stay down. I mean, you literally, your body floats on the surface of that. But these salts are something that your mother needs. She needs to get more of the salts, the magnesium salts and the sodium salts into her body. Now, is she underweight or overweight?
I'd say she's probably just slightly under.
Slightly under. Okay. So, and what is her weight? I know you talk in stones, but
yeah, do you know what? I mean, maybe she must be around 7 stone, something like this.
Yeah.
What's that in?
Yeah. So
she's a frail lady.
Yeah. So to increase, I mean, there's lots of things that you can do. Now, what is she eating right now? Well, let me get back to the salts, okay? One of the simple things that you can do that would help out, at least understanding what her interstitial fluids are like, is to test the urine pH. I don't know if she'd be willing to do that, but you take some pH paper or strips. You know, the strips, I mean, you just pull off a strip of this, and then you put a drop of urine on that, and the color should be a dark green to blue. So when you're testing it, you want to see a change in the color of this. Now, not so the saliva is not that important to test. What would be more, which would be more beneficial, would be to test the test the urine, because the urine is a product of the interstitial fluid. Now, there's a product called 4 salts, and she can take that by capsule. If she takes it by capsule, it's somewhat time release. It will help to neutralize the hydrochloric acid in her stomach, which is one of the other contributing factors to her symptoms. But if I take this, I have it in a powder. If I take this capsule apart, because I don't have the powder here, so I just want to show you this. These are put together really good.
Right.
So if I take this capsule and just put a little bit in my hand like this
Mm-hmm.
and lick it. All right. You remember this, right? Where I
Yeah.
tested this. Now look what
Yeah.
change takes place just in this environment. It went blue.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yeah.
This is where she needs to be. This is the color that she needs to be in her urine. This is the
Well,
solution.
it's interesting because the last sort of 2 weeks she's been suffering with her stomach. She's right now suffering with her stomach. That's why. So you were just saying about the stomach and the acid
Well,
within that
yeah,
stomach.
it's hydrochloric acid. Okay. Yeah, any type of antacid will contain sodium bicarbonate. I mean, there's a product called Gold Alka Seltzer. Alka meaning alkaline seltzer. It has other compounds in it that I don't really like, but to get relief, it's an over-the-counter type nutraceutical that you can take, and it's a crazy thing, but I've heard doctors using this for the treatment of cancer.
Right.
But I understand why it works. Biochemically, it neutralizes the acid, because acid, particularly lactic acid, is what causes all of these different symptoms. It's the major acid. I mean, there's uric acid, and there's sulfuric and nitric and phosphoric. These are different acids, and they come from meat. You have especially in England, at 3 or 4 o'clock you have tea time, and then you drink black tea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that contains tannic acid, and it's very very hard on on the stomach, very hard on the body tissues, especially the blood. So I don't know. You see this now?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah.
this is where I was. This is how fast it changes. That's what you have to saturate all the body fluids to reverse this. Once she turns blue, in a good way, okay? Once she turns, she's a blue. She's a blue blood, right?
Yeah.
They say, well, the Royals are blue blood, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, their blood looks red too. As soon as it hits oxygen, it turns red. But once you can raise that pH and keep it up around 8.4 to 9, these are when the symptoms will start disappearing.
8.4, yeah, up to 9, yeah.
Yeah, this right here, this blue color right here, if you look on the color scale of a pH scale, this color here is the color of healing.
Yeah.
I know this sounds like an oversimplification, but it's a matter of biochemistry. We have to reduce the hydrochloric acid in the stomach to relieve the pain in the stomach. We have to reverse the lactic acid and minimize that in the interstitial fluids. It's causing the restless leg syndrome. And we have to improve circulation of those interstitial fluids to move out through urination rather than through the skin, even though the skin is the largest organ of the body. But the clay, the Montmorillonite clay, is going to help tremendously. So getting back to that clay, you add the magnesium sulfate, which is the Epsom salts, at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you put the clay, mix it with the salts. And if you don't want to do that, then you can order a 5-pound jug of it from pH Miracle Products, because it's already in a combination. and I don't know where
Hmm.
else you can get it because we're the only ones that have actually put it together. The only the
And
only
just
the only
just to say,
warning on
Robert,
that, yeah,
yeah,
the only
just to say
war,
one thing.
yeah, go ahead.
If I started straight away with, what about Epsom salts as a starting point? Because we have that locally. I can get that in a shop down the road.
Absolutely, you do what you can with what you have. So you start
Yes.
out with the Epsom salts. Make sure you use, you know, I mean, you can use a whole bag of it. I mean, they come in like
Yeah.
1 pound bags. I mean,
Yep.
half a pound, or that would be like less than a half a kilo. But that's kilos are 2.2 pounds per kilo. You wouldn't want to use that amount. About a quarter of a pound, or excuse me, a quarter of a kilo
Hmm.
would be yeah what you'd want to put in there. You really can't do too much of it, and it's very inexpensive. But
Yeah.
but you want to create an effect to where electrically the salts are pulling waste out through the pores of the skin. That's what
Hmm.
magnesium does. Now, magnesium is an anti-inflammatory, so you could go to your local, uh, I don't know, Boots or Whole Foods. I don't know if Whole Foods is in London. I believe it is, but you can
There
go
is.
there.
Yeah. There is. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find
We have.
a magnesium chloride capsules. You could start taking that. Uh, Magnesium chloride is a wonderful, you know, in smaller doses like 250 milligrams up to 500 milligrams. One capsule 3 times a day will help to neutralize the inflammation which is being caused by hydrochloric acid, citric acid, and also lactic acid. And then if she's drinking black tea, I would recommend that she discontinues that immediately because that's the tannic acid, and that's not helping her skin at all. That's just contributing more kerosene, so to speak, on the fire. So you need to reduce the tannic acid. Uh, uh, for coffee, uh, you pretty much need to get away from that. Uh, because of the acids within coffee, but chocolate, theobromine and methylbromine. The So you have to change what you're drinking and start uh, having her drink copious amounts of water, and not just any water. You have to drink functionally structured water, which means you have to
Hmm.
break down the molecular clustering down to less than 5 molecules per cluster. Uh, Ideally to hydrate the cells and get things moving in and out of the cell. Uh, that would be molecular water, one molecule or monomolecular water, and that's the most ideal at a pH of at least 10. Uh, so I don't know if
What water would you? Yeah. What would you recommend? Is there anyone on the
well, I
I
don't,
can get
I don't know
purchase on
what's available
online or
over.
something? That.
I mean, you can check Whole Foods and see what type of bottled water. It's probably not functionally structured. It's probably alkaline, but at least that would be better. The other way you can do it is take distilled water.
On your website, Robert. Sorry, on your website, you have some on the pH Miracle site. There are something that you could buy to convert that water into.
Yeah, there's a machine, an apparatus. It's called the Innerlight Blue Multifunctional Water Ionizer. But that's good for preparing foods. If you're cooking, or steaming or warming up water. It's The multifunctional is a filtration system with a ionizer, alkalizer. So it's a purification of water, functionally structuring the water. Yeah, so the Innerlight Blue Multifunctional, those machines you have to plug in. So, uh, and I think you're on what, 220,
240. Yeah,
240.
220, 240. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I'll have
it
to look.
won't.
I'll have to look at the voltage on. If you have, I mean, you can get an adapter to plug it in, but it has to be able to take that sort of voltage. So
That's the thing.
yeah, if it goes up to 240, then that's fine. The other one is non-electrical, so you don't have to worry
Hmm.
about electricity. You don't plug it in. You just set it up to a pressure to your water pressure, which creates the breaking up of the molecular clustering of the water. That also creates a functionally structured water without electricity. It uses pressure to create a more monomolecular alkalizing water. That's called the Watermark One. Yeah, the
The
Watermark One.
watermark one. Yeah.
Watermark One. Yeah. So that may work out better for you rather than, but I can
Yep.
check. I'll look on the voltage on this thing because you have the ability to create a 10 and a half, 11 pH monomolecular water that's purified, which is highly effective water to drink to help neutralize these acids that are causing these symptomologies. Keep in mind that what she's doing currently right now is just easing the pain. It's not resolving the problem.
No, agreed.
They don't have anything to cure this.
Nothing. No,
Nothing.
100%.
Okay.
100%. So
So we're
it
talking
purely,
about things that she can do to reverse this condition. That's what we're
very,
talking about.
very much. I've said to my mum, you've had the best of what medicine can do, but that's not doing enough because you're now knocked out. You're not present
Yeah.
in the space. So we need to move off and start cleansing the body.
Yeah. One
So,
thing that that is very, very critical, particularly with her symptomologies, because I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but the water in London just isn't that healthy. Okay, whether it's
oh yeah.
whether it's coming out of the tap or if it's in a bottle. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
but
a
we are in Wimbledon, Robert. It's slightly better. I'm just
okay.
teasing.
Well, that's you're not. Yeah, when you say London, you're not in London. You're in Wimbledon. Yeah, so that is different. Yeah, people care about their water there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
no, I hear that.
Yeah, so what I would suggest there is that you attach a filter nozzle that will actually take out the chlorine, chloramines, that will take out any sort of added compounds or chemicals, uh, and before it goes into the bath water. So she's bathing in alkaline water that's been filtered. I mean, you may want to check with your local uh, people there that may water stores, see if they have anything to filter that. But it's called the power shower filter, and that can help tremendously to buffer and neutralize and eliminate some of the impurities in the water. So the water becomes a really
Yep.
important thing because that's where the problem is. It's in the fluids of the body uh, that's affecting the cells. But right now, you're just treating the symptoms rather than changing the water. So that becomes the most important thing. What she bathes in, what she drinks. Uh, this is so you're going to find a very good effect if you can start this protocol as soon as possible. Like you said, you could go down to the store and pick up some Epsom salts, which is the magnesium sulfate. Whole Foods may have a montmorillonite clay that you could add to it. You would have to check with them, but I would be surprised if they didn't. But then again,
Could
uh,
you just spell the name of that clay for me? I know we've got this
okay,
recorded.
well, let's see. It's Montmor, montmorillonite, real Illonite, something. It's a very long name. Um,
So MONT
Yeah, Mont. Let me
Yep.
grab a pen here.
Morillo.
Yeah, Mont,
MONTMOR.
MONT, MOR, Morillonite. Yeah, so
Yep.
MONTILLONITE. And I apologize if I've missed.
No worries. This gives me
But
a
that's Montmorillonite. Yeah, you can Google.
that will come up. That will
Yeah,
come up. We're
it'll
good.
come
We're
up.
good with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. If you put out
So
Montmorillonite clay, it should come up, and you may get
yeah.
some
So
Amazon.com locations.
so we have the clay, we have the Epsom salts, which are two things to bathe in. Changing the water that she actually bathes in. Get a filtration system for that. I'm sure we
Yeah, you
can
may want to even
find
look at a
something.
whole house filtration system before the water actually gets to
Yeah.
all this, and then that takes out the impurities. But then you want something that functionally structures the water, and that's where the power shower head comes in.
The power shower head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the drinking water, which will bring it, you want a drinking water of a quality that brings it into 10 to 11 pH.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of information, Robert. I'm glad we got it recorded.
Yeah. Well, these are
It's good. It's good information.
this is kind of like at the beginning of, and you don't jump in the deep end on this. You just kind of gradually do it. You don't have to drink a lot of the 10 or 11 pH. You drink a little bit of it, but you drink it throughout the day, and over time, over a day, you can get in 1.5 to 2 liters. So she needs to hydrate more, and she needs to urinate. You have to pee your way to health. So you have to have, and of course, sweating is important, and the sweating portion can be very beneficial, and that's where a wavelength of light called it's the infrared wavelength of light, which has a wave of a frequency of about 940 to 960 nanometers. So the wave can permeate the tissues, activate the flow of fluids, and begin the process of opening up the pores of the skin and sweating this out. You can also relieve some of the aches and pains because you're eliminating acidic waste, and that's an infrared sauna. And the one that I recommend is a portable one where the head is